The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Gynesis Radio, www.gynesisradio.com, Gynesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
Good evening. My name is Kendall Stevenson. I'm the host of the Empowerment Show. This is GenesisRadio.com. My co-host is Shaquana Terry.
Hi.
As usual, we like to give a what do you call a moment of gratitude. We say, give us a chance to say something that we're grateful for. Man, it's a nasty day out there today. and so far, no trees has fallen on my car or my house. So I guess I'm grateful for that.
Yes.
Shaquana, what's happening? How you?
You know me, I'm great. And I'm always grateful for life, love, happiness, and everything in between. So, yeah.
This young lady right here, I believe everybody should know her. Her name is Tara Probst. She is your state representative. So we're just going to give a shout out and say hello. Hi, Tara.
Hello. Am I good with the microphone? Hello.
I think you're good with
Okay.
the mic. I think you're
You
good
hear
with the
you
mic.
very well.
Got a lot of things going on in politics.
Mhm.
I was listening to Donald Trump. Wow.
Well,
that
we're
guy-
just going to get
Which-
started.
which
soon,
part?
Huh?
All right, we
We're
got
just
to
gonna
get into
get
it.
all the way out the
I-
gate.
I'm-
Huh?
I
Okay.
can't
Waste my
understand.
time.
How somebody could possibly want to vote for this man. I can't understand it. After he's been a liar,
You mean you didn't buy a
a
Bible?
thief. Huh?
You didn't buy a Bible?
Oh, hell no. I'm not going to buy one of those $60, what do you call it, Bibles like that. No, that's not a good thing.
Lawsuit funding.
And he's trying to pay all of his bills, you know. And he's got a lot of legal bills that's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, for you, speaking about bills, what's new?
Are we talking about Donald Trump or
No,
House
no,
bills?
We're
we're
talking
gonna
about
talk about you.
legislation. We were talking about
Okay,
that.
because I agree with you. So we came back in session. Now, at the end of 2023, we passed nearly 300 bills. 204 of them are still sitting in the Senate. Some of my favorite bills are bills that protect women and their right to choose, the doctors
Okay.
in healthcare that help these women, and protecting women from out of state, as you know what they're doing in Florida right now,
Yes. Mhm.
protecting those women. We've passed bills for, I'm pro-labor, so right to organize, prevailing wage. We also passed bills raising the minimum wage. We passed bills for the Equality Act for the Constitution of Pennsylvania. We passed bills, the Crown Act, which are you familiar with the Crown Act?
Not really.
The Crown Act.
Just a bit, but
Okay.
you can definitely explain it in depth.
Now, the thing about the Crown Act is you would think that is a no-brainer, right?
Right.
So the Crown Act, if anyone doesn't know, is that you can still be fired for your hairstyle.
Mhm.
So for, human beings that are born with their ethnic hair, there are some jobs that they can demand that you do something with your hair or you will no longer be working here anymore. And that's a disgrace.
Mm.
That is a disgrace. And it was a bipartisan vote, which was good. We had 20 plus Republicans vote with us on this, which was good. But something as simple as that to pass is still sitting in the Senate. I mean, basically, I just think that's really sad.
Yeah.
We put bills forth to stop the cyber charter thievery, which would lower your taxes in Monroe
Yes.
County. We are the worst in Pennsylvania for taxes. So basically, out of 500 school districts, our Monroe County schools, we are the least funded by what our incomes are. So the Cyber Charter Act will give millions of dollars back to the Monroe County schools. And then if the school funding goes through what the governor would like to do and what the Basic Education Commission said we should do, again, millions and millions and millions of
We're
dollars
talking
back to our
about
Monroe County schools, public
right?
schools,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Yes. Okay.
So that way, 67% of our school districts are paid on the backs of the taxpayers. And that's not fair because in some parts of the state pays for 50% of their school. So there was a formula that came out that would help us tremendously. Some other things, cost of living adjustment for seniors. There are some senior citizens that haven't had a raise, public servants like my school teachers that haven't had a raise since 1992.
Wow.
So they're coming in for rent rebates.
Yeah.
And they were public school teachers for 30 years, right? Basic things like that you would think, no brainer, right? Still sitting in the Senate.
Well,
How about the raising of the property taxes? I see recently they raised our property taxes. I live in the 176. You know, Hope Christmas, she's running out there, and they raised our property taxes.
So here's the thing: those are municipalities, and I was the mayor for 7 years, and sometimes you have to raise taxes. So for the borough of Stroudsburg, it's a little bit different. We have a public works department because we have sidewalks and streets, right? We also have the Stroud Area Regional Police Department, which was our biggest line item. So when expenses go up with the police department, whether it's the cost of the car or whatever, that falls on the municipalities that have those services. We have a fire department, things go up. And I always say our local taxes are still nothing for the services you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The biggest tax that everyone complains about is your school tax. No doubt
Absolutely.
about it. Mine's like 10 grand for just
It's
school.
expensive.
$7,000 for me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because we're
Honestly,
underfunded for nearly 20 years, you guys. I mean, nobody complained about this prior. 30 years ago, 25 years ago, even 20 years ago. No, when you bought your house, you didn't think your taxes were bad, or you wouldn't have bought your house, right? So fast forward, because we've been underfunded for so long, and I have to say it. I'm a Democrat. I'm 102, right? And there's 101 Republicans. So that one vote majority really makes a difference because for nearly 20 years, there was a House Republican Senate and House. So these bills to give you these breaks never even saw the light of day.
Yeah.
So anyway, so now they're seeing the light of day.
Yeah.
So that means it's out there and they're sitting in the Senate, and the Senate can choose not to act. But now people know what's going on. They're calling their senators, they're doing things about it. And November, the Senate, we're definitely going to flip a couple seats in the Senate where it's going to be razor thin, and we're going to get more done. But those are just some of the bills. I mean, we passed so many bills. We passed for affordable housing. We passed for higher tax credits. We passed for pre-K because, we're short a workforce, right? And in 10 years, it's going to be even less of a workforce.
Well, they got the migrants for that.
Right. But we need to make sure that we educate our kids and they stay here.
Correct.
We need to make sure that college is affordable. We passed that bill.
Speaking of that.
And we also passed a bill, it's called homegrown. We want teachers, we want kids in our Monroe County schools that want to be teachers. It's homegrown. We want to, FIA teamed up with us to pay for like $8,000 a year towards education if you wanted to be a teacher. And then when you student teach, we passed a $10,000 stipend. So that when you're student teaching, it's like you're working for nothing. People can't live like that today. They need a paycheck. They have bills. But we want more diversity in our classrooms. We want our teachers to look like our community. And right now, like in Stroudsburg, I think it's 49% Black and brown students, but the teachers don't represent that. And so we need more people of color to come out and say, I want to teach. And I want those kids to say, I can identify with this teacher and I want to be a teacher. And it's just, you want to identify, you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely.
And we want those programs because we have a diverse community, which I'm so proud of and love. And we need more diversity in our classrooms.
I want to tell you, I was listening to the news this morning and they were telling me about how colleges went up on the prices. To go to like Penn State now is almost $100,000 a year. And all these colleges are falling in line.
Well, it's
So
not
even though we
that.
have
I
these
don't- it's
programs, how
definitely-
can you afford it to go?
It's not 100
It's
at
not
Penn
100.
State.
It's not 100. I
But
know
it's
that.
$92,000.
No, not even
96.
near there.
Yeah,
no.
it is. Yeah,
No,
it is.
It's roughly, I think,
I
30,000
think
a
it's
year.
like
So it's
30 to
120.
40,000.
Mhm.
It's for the 4 years,
Right.
not so much a year.
I think
It's
they
for
said per year.
It's not. I
for
can
4
assure you.
years.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
not.
assure you it's not. It's
Okay.
about.
It's a non-preferred. However,
Yeah.
right? It's a state college. Our PASHE system, which is like East Stroudsburg University, Bloomsburg, IUP. When one of my brothers graduated from ESU in 1988, the state paid for 75% of his tuition.
Mm.
It's flip-flop now. Now the students are paying 75%. So we have a bill in the works that says if your family makes $70,000 a year or less, you will pay no more than $1,000 a semester. And this is what we have to do. Pennsylvania is 48th in affordability in education, 48th. And like Josh Shapiro said, our governor, that's unacceptable. So the Democratic focus is education, because if you have a great education system, you will produce a great Commonwealth, because you're innovators. They're going to stay here. They're going to invest here. They're going to want to raise their kids here. And we're the 4th largest state in the nation, right?
Mhm.
And we need, I mean, we have the lowest unemployment of all time. Well, not of all time, since in 70 years. So people need workers, and we need to make sure that we educate people, not only for the social reasons, and just to educate, because when you're educated, even if you never use your degree, you are just better off. You see the world differently. You tend to think more, critical thinking. I mean, I have a law degree, and yes, I look at legislation all the time, but I'm not in court. But it helped me, you know?
Mhm.
So there's no education. Education is good no matter what it is. And I just think you see the world differently. You meet different people. It's a social aspect of, different cultures. And I just think that if we can get our education in line, you're going to see a better Pennsylvania.
I agree with that, but I also see, because my daughter, her Penn State is her alma mater.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you. She just graduated from University Park in May.
Oh, that's awesome.
But you know what it is that she has friends who have gone for the engineering program. And Pennsylvania was not one of the states where they actually graduated and went to and got a job. They had to go out of state. So
Right.
It's like, are we bringing those jobs here? What are we doing?
So that's what we want. Absolutely. And that's what we want to do. And that's the whole point of it, though, right? So how many more water parks do we need? I don't mean to say it that way, right? But the thing is, our corporate tax is lowering every year. The Democrats put forth a bill to lower the corporate tax down to 4.99. It was at 9.99. That's a lot. But we have the Delaware loophole. We're one of, I think, 4 or 7 states that still have the Delaware loophole, which means if your corporate office is in Delaware, you pay no Pennsylvania tax.
Oh, really?
Right.
Right, because of that.
Right. So it's a
That border
loophole.
there.
So
Yeah.
we're willing to cut that in half,
Okay.
get rid of the Delaware loophole, and watch these companies flood into Pennsylvania. Watch it happen. So these are the things we're trying to do. We want to be innovators. I mean, where we're located, New York, Philadelphia, and we're on the Northeast. I mean, most of the population lives in the Northeast, right? Region. But it all comes down to, do we have the workforce? Do we have the schools to put out, our hospital system's growing, which is good,
Mhm.
doctors, nurses, lawyers, but then engineers, architects, industry, innovators. So that's our goal. We also need, though, let me be very clear, we need labor. I mean, I could tell you right now, labor makes the world go round.
It does.
It does. And what would we do without the people who, build your homes and your plumbers and your welders? I mean, so
I don't think we could
mechanics.
I don't think the world would go on without those people.
And the world wouldn't go, honestly, the world wouldn't work without servers. My mom was a waitress her whole life, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just saying, there's a job for everybody here, but we need a different set of eyeballs, not just saying tourism. We need innovation. And that's
Well, that's what we used to be. We used to be an innovative country. We built a lot of things in this country, and then we started shipping them overseas.
Mhm. Yep.
And then they started building them overseas and selling it back to us.
Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever you want about California. I love that state so much. California, and even Reagan, like, wouldn't touch education. He's like, no, we got a great education system. They invested so much in education that you go to school, a state, if you're a resident there, state schools for free, right? My husband graduated from San Diego State. He paid $37 a semester. But it's like the sacred cow, their education system. And they have the 6th best economy in the world as their own state. And that's what you have to do. If you have it all starts there. It gets people out of poverty. It's generational wealth. It's all the things that rise everybody up, because years prior to, certain cultures didn't have a chance. They were already, well, I always say this well, Tara, your mom was a waitress and you guys were poor and you didn't know your dad and you pulled your bootstraps up. And yeah, I was also white and cute when I was young. I had an automatic advantage. And I don't mean to say that, right?
No, I understand.
But I understand it.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. So I think that in a good education system, I understand that people are smarter than me, could have gotten a job over me, but they weren't picked because either the color of their skin, their name, their hair, right? That is what you learn as you're educated and you grow up and you learn things, right? But if you are just stuck in a certain society that doesn't get exposed to other cultures and meet new people and understand how the world works, you think, well, Tara, you did it, but I know I did do it and I was lucky and I worked hard. But there's a lot of other people that worked just as hard as me that came from less than me, and they didn't get the shots that I had.
Yeah.
So that's why education is key, because you can't take the power away from someone who's educated.
Let me tell you, when I was growing up, it was a saying that you always had to be twice as good.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
So when I went to school, I didn't get one master. I ended up getting 2, so I have to be equal.
It's not fair.
It's not, but that's the way it is. And it's been that way for us as African Americans, and I mean, pretty much for a very, very long time. And I really don't think that's going to change, because in order for that to change, you'd have to change the attitudes of the people.
Well,
you can make all the laws you want, but the attitudes of the people would have to change.
Donald Trump's Supreme Court reversed affirmative action.
He sure did.
And that was, I mean, we were in the rotunda with Joanna McClinton, who went to Villanova Law School, the Madam Speaker of the House, because of affirmative action, that she wouldn't have gotten that chance, right? And Donald Trump took that away from Black and brown people and women. And let's not forget about women and Black women especially. So women, and I don't even like using the word minority. Like, that's something that I talk about in the Black Caucus. I'm part of the Monroe County Black Caucus and the PA House Dems. One of the things I hate is like being a minority. Well, there's more women than men, so I'm not a minority, right? And then when they call people of color minorities, well, I got news for you.
With a global majority.
Thank you very much, right?
Global majority.
So I want to change that term, and I don't know. I mean, everyone I talk to, I always say like, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna die trying, right?
Yes.
But my point is, it's like there's women, and then there's men of color, but then there's Black women. And it is a proven fact that Black women have it even harder than anybody. So you want to talk about you have to be twice as good. Black women have to be 3 times as good.
But I'm going to tell you today, I'm just got to say, living in Monroe County, and since I've been living here, they got the power. They run a lot of things. They're head of a lot of different organizations, and they're making moves. What they call them shakers and movers. That's what a lot of the sisters up there are.
They're fantastic. And the school districts are so much different, right? Like, I think I graduated with maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 3 Black people, 2 maybe Hispanic, right? It was just not diverse. Let's fast forward. My son is in a school district where it's basically 50-50. And I think that is a great thing, because that gets that old mentality kind of out. You know what I'm saying? It is taught at home, I agree. But even if it's taught at home, when you are in school and you have friends, it deafens a little bit of maybe the home stuff. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're not exposed or around or meet different people, it's probably going to stick in that ear. You know what I mean?
It definitely helps them get a broader perspective,
Exactly.
because if you're not, like you said, if you're not around the different demographics, then you don't understand
Right.
how they are. But as you become friends with them, you realize, okay, this person is just like me, and then you're able to, of course, advocate for them
Right.
if you want to do that. But
we're
I think
all
that's
we're all
important.
human beings.
Yes,
and like
it's
even
important.
kindergarten, right? Like I
Yeah.
always love Stroudsburg because they have the uniforms.
Mhm.
Nobody's judged. Everybody is the same. You have to wear the same clothes, right? And it starts as little kids. No little kid cares what the color of your skin is. Nobody. They
Well, I'll
don't.
tell you how we can get a start. On Saturday, April 20th, there's going to be a bus ride. And that bus ride is going to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And that's going to be provided by us from the Stroudsburg Little Bethel Historical
It's
Association.
awesome.
The bus leaves at 5:30 a.m. and at 6 a.m. sharp. It's going to leave at 6 a.m. sharp. The bus returns at 7 p.m. The pickup point is going to be the Spectral location. That's North 3rd Street and McConnell Street. For adults, it's $85. Children is $50 under 18. So if anybody want to get together like that and start maybe sharing some culture with each
If
other,
you
that's
could
a
do
good
me
way
a
to do
favor,
that.
I want you to send that to me so
Oh,
I can put
sure.
it
Sure.
out there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's
And
really awesome.
that's a wonderful museum. I love it. I actually have gone twice now,
Mhm.
and it's a little emotional going, but it's a part of history.
So my brother Tony, right? He was in Alabama he's a judge in Chester County, and he went down. I think it was for a judicial seminar or something like that, and he kept sending me pictures of how emotional all the museums in Alabama, from Martin Luther King and Selma to Richard Pure, if I'm saying it correctly. There was only 2 lynchings in Pennsylvania, and one of them was in Stroudsburg.
One was in Stroudsburg.
Yep, a mob came to the jail. It's a fascinating story, and this poor man never got his justice. He never got his day in court. And I know Krista Caceres was working with the Equal Justice Project, who was working with the borough when I was mayor, and we're waiting for them. We want to get the dirt sample. We want to do a memorial there. And I still talk about that. But my brother Tony said, like, oh my God, look at Stroudsburg is down here, And he just said it was emotional. He sent me pictures of the Jim Crow laws. The questions that they asked, I couldn't even answer. You couldn't answer. And guess what? They couldn't even answer it.
You mean
It was-
the voting questions?
Yes, the
Yeah,
most
you had to read off the
ridiculous.
whole Constitution.
I'll bring not. I got. Oh, and these.
You had to recite the Constitution.
It wasn't just that. I mean, I can pull up my phone now. The questions were like, there was some math in there, like
The jelly beans.
Well, the jelly beans was one of them too, but it was so ridiculous, and it makes me so mad. And you know how many people know about this? Not many. Not many. Because if you don't educate yourself and read and learn, then people, no one understands the struggles. And I realize that there's a lot of hard times for everyone, but they need to realize how much harder it was before. That's all.
Yes, I agree with that. All right, so we're just going to cut here. We just want to let you know that you're listening to GenesisRadio.com. We are the Empowerment Show. We have our guest Tara on with us. We have Kendall, who is our host, and I am Shaquana, our co-host. We are located at 383 East Brown Street. That's in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And our phone number, if you do want to call in, if you have any questions for Tara, our telephone number is 888-304-4401. Again, that telephone number is 888-304-4401. Thank you.
Like I was saying, Tara, a lot of things that are going on right now.
Mhm.
A lot of things are going to be very difficult to change because it's the attitudes of the people. I mean, as much as we seem to put forth, we push forward, they push back, and then they push back. They take away affirmative action.
A woman's right to choose.
A woman's right to choose. So when they talk about this mega Make America Great Again, I'm still trying to figure out what time period are they talking about.
Well,
you know, you're talking about the Jim Crow's era, like yours, or maybe segregation. Because I'm trying to figure out what time period America was great for people that look like me.
Well, and you're right. And I'm sorry, Joe Biden said it in the State of the Union address. I may be old, but my ideas aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Donald Trump's old too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's delusional.
Mm-hmm.
His ideas will throw us back. They already have. First time in over 260 years, rights were taken away. 2 centuries, 2.5 centuries. First time rights were taken away. And the above the law, you want to talk about, if that were you and I with 92 indictments, would we?
Please.
It wouldn't even, it's insane. And people still why do you find him great? The economy was good. No, it actually wasn't. And if you look, if you're rich, you're richer now because Joe Biden's stock market topped any one of Donald Trump's stock markets.
Oh, yeah.
We have the lowest unemployment in 70 years. Our gross national product is everything beats Donald Trump, everything. And then when they get this immigration border deal, bipartisan, Donald Trump blows it up because he wants that for his election. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He wants your money so he doesn't go to jail. He wants to be president so he can pardon himself. He's a crook. Trump Stakes, failure. Trump University, failure. Look at his casinos in Atlantic City, failure. Owes $990 million back to the U.S. government for those casinos. He is a fraud. He is a huckster. And for some reason, people are doubling down on this guy. And the only thing I can say is, I saw the people scaling the Capitol on January 6th. And if that isn't enough to disgust you, I don't know what more it can take.
The Jews got a good name for him. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
They call him what is that, shyster?
Yeah, it's a huckster. Same thing.
He's a shyster because I can't believe the stuff that he's getting away with.
And what he says, the stuff he says.
Yeah.
But it's got to be like a cult because people are allowing him to get away with it.
I know.
They're making it possible for him.
What I don't understand is where the facts are coming from, because the reason why they're voting for him, the reason why they're on his side is because the economy was great. I hear so many people say, hey, my 401k was great during that time.
Thank you, Obama.
The thing about that is that, it's it was on the heels of, the pandemic happened. So then everything went down. So that's important that people need to understand that, because it's not just because of him and his policies and things of that nature. It was because the pandemic happened and everything had already went down. And then Joe Biden is in there and he comes in and he's on the heels of that. So he's trying to get it back up. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
The guy gave $7 trillion.
When Obama was on his way out, the economy was already on its way up. So Trump was given a gift. Here you go. It was up. You understand?
Yeah.
Stock, everything was up. So he was given, here you go.
But remember,
just like his daddy gave him all that money. He blew it.
Yeah.
But not just that. He cut $7 trillion for the richest people in America, right? I mean, and you can make $1 million and you didn't get that tax cut. I'm talking the filthy rich, right? And then I look at someone that I know where their interest on their mortgage was like $18,000 a year. They used to be able to write the whole thing off. Under Trump, they cut you off at $11,000 a year.
Yeah, they did.
There's so many things that were so bad. And look at the price of gas. Well, Joe Biden has absolutely nothing to do with gas. That's a world. No, but it's also a world commodity. They dictate the rates. There are 2 wars going on right now. Everything that we produce, and when I hear them say drill, baby, drill, we produce more energy than we've ever produced before. We are a leader in the world. So we don't dictate the gas prices. The White House doesn't dictate the gas prices.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear that, I get so mad. And I love Bob Casey. He's got shrinkflation. He is so sick of it, of the corporate greed. Let's charge them more and give them less. And it's all corporate greed. Like you said, Chevron, Exxon, they made record profits.
Everything that he did was to benefit the corporate, because he actually had interest in that. You know, so everything he did was to benefit that. And it's unfortunate. Hopefully when everybody goes out to vote.
I'm just worried about the young kids though.
I
say that because they grew up in I grew up in a world where things were tough. It was the 80s. There was recession. My mom was a waitress. We moved a lot. I just remember struggles, right? And I feel like people are really different with their kids today. They don't want to. They don't want you to see them struggle. So even if they are struggling, it's like, as long as my kid is happy, right? It's kind of like
They enable them.
they don't. So younger kids that are maybe voting for the first time or voting for the second time, I don't think they realize what we had to go through. Like, I grew up hearing about Vietnam and World War II, fighting for our freedom. They don't realize that it truly can happen like that. Like Erdogan in Turkey, change the constitution so he could stay. Look at Putin. He's on his 6th term now. It wasn't like that, but he changed it. Donald Trump will change it. We will be authoritarian. We will no longer be a democracy. And I don't think young people realize that it could happen. And it's not a scare tactic. It could happen. And that will be it. They will no longer know freedom and democracy like they did before.
Well, they don't really have much of appreciation for freedom because they've always had it.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think that they are actually getting to a point where they're realizing certain things, especially as they get older. My daughter, she's 22, and I have a 16-year-old, and they're so vocal about politics. They're so vocal about what's happening right now. And one thing that they are very vocal about is their rights being taken away. Yeah. And even if, because we don't really believe in certain things, but even if that's what we don't believe in, I don't think that the choice should be taken away, right? So that's where they are with that. They're like, Mom, listen, we can't have this guy in here because of XYZ. And their friends also feel the same way. So I think that as parents, if we're educating our children about what's going on out there and what could potentially happen, I think that they would be more inclined to do the right thing.
Right. And that's awesome, because I talk to my kid like that too. Just tell them what's going on. But here's the thing. When people say, I don't like either choice, I'm not voting, right? Then I don't ever want to hear you complain, because if you're not voting, you're going to get the worst of the two. And then you're really going to complain. And so my one friend, the one time said, I don't like either candidate. And I was like, look, if you're going to a wedding, your options are steak, chicken, or salmon, but you want pasta, you're not getting it. So what's it going to be? Sometimes you have to pick
the lesser of two evils.
Well, and I like to say, or the one that sometimes you got to pick the B or the C, because you do not want that D or F. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And when young people I knew didn't vote for Hillary, which I always loved Hillary, I'm a Hillary fan. And I said, look, you're not just voting for Hillary Clinton, you are voting for a Supreme Court. We have an old one up there that I loved, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm like, so you're not voting just for Hillary, you're voting for her plan, her ideas, her cabinet, our Supreme Court. Those same girls, I'm just saying 2 of them, in 2020 voted for Biden. They were like, because I'm just saying,
saw it, right?
They saw it. They saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And look what happened in 2022. And look at the Supreme Court he picked.
Yeah.
He lined that Supreme Court.
And that's why it's important. And bringing it back to local government, if you want things to change in your community, that's what Tara and a bunch of other people to come in and help with that, because we need to be out there on election day voting in those elections as well, not just the general election. We need to be voting in all of them.
Did she tell you that Biden, he has an office here now?
Really?
Yeah, Monroe County. He's got an office at the Monroe County Democratic headquarters. So his team is there all the time, and I would love if he came. And he's old. But guess what? So is Mick Jagger, and I'd go see him play in concert like tomorrow. I don't mean to say it that way. His ideas are great. And I think that's where people get like sidetracked. And by the way, I love his vice president. So, Kamala Harris can step in there and take over and do the job. This is it, though. These are our choices. It is Donald Trump or it is Joe Biden. If you're voting for a third party, Donald Trump will get in office.
He will get,
So that's where it lays.
So when do we turn into a society where we no longer respect our elders? when I was growing up, your grandmother was somebody that you listened to.
Right.
When she spoke, you sat down and you listened to what
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Whether you agreed with her or not, you listened to what she had to say. Now, I know Joe Biden is a little older, but that means he has a little more wisdom because he's been around a little while.
He's been around.
So whatever mistakes he made, he realized he made the mistakes and then he corrected them.
And he talks about the mistakes he made. He can actually say, I screwed up, right? He's human. Donald Trump, he's like
blaming someone else.
It's never going to be his fault,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that thing that happened with Biden back in the past when he was a senator, the crime bill, he wasn't in charge of it, and he wasn't the only person that voted on it. And you had a lot of African American leaders and activists who went along with it when they came out with that particular bill.
Right.
So
But he also supported affirmative action because he knew it's not fair. It's not a fair society. We got to do everything we can.
A lot better than Clarence Thomas did.
I think that we've all made some questionable choices and decisions throughout our lives.
And you change, right? You grow,
change.
you learn.
You learn, and that's important. That's the importance of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Just being able to understand what mistakes you've made and then trying to correct those mistakes if you're in the position to do so.
Right.
And I think that that's where Joe Biden is. Even if he's older, he does have a team behind him that he consults with. It's not him making these decisions on his own.
Right.
So I think that he will be a perfect candidate right now, as opposed to Donald Trump. I'm telling you, I will be on the line.
Donald Trump is old too. Donald Trump is like 2.5 years younger than him. That's it.
Yes, he is. But but I think that Joe Biden, he shows it more. I think and just in his mannerisms and things of that nature. So people they don't have that faith in him. But I'm telling everyone right now, if you're listening here on GenesisRadio.com on the Empowerment Show, please make sure that you go out and vote for the candidate that will evoke change and good change, and that will benefit you and your future generations.
Well, the other one's already proven. Okay. The other one got rid of affirmative action. He got rid, whether you're for it or not, a women's right to choose was the law. And reverse it. So what's it going to be next? Is it going to be against the LGBTQ community? It is, because he said it is. Just like he's, just like with Putin, go do whatever the hell you want. And it's scary. I mean, it's dangerous and it's very scary.
Yeah.
It concerns me deeply. And I don't know. I just can't fathom. For the life of me, from the Trump sneakers to the Bible. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Listen,
It's embarrassing.
He needs to fund his
law.
His what do you call those?
His lawsuits.
His lawsuits and everything. He has to make money off of it, so he has to make money to pay them. So I get it. He's a businessman first.
But I thought he was super rich.
He's a businessman first, so I get it.
Yeah,
but
bigly. Yeah. He's bigly rich.
Oh gosh, but it definitely is something that
poorly educated.
Yeah.
They're the smartest people in the world.
Yeah.
Or he calls the January 6 people hostages.
Yeah.
And that's really offensive because there are hostages right now. Think about the hostages in Russia right now. The innocent people that have been sitting over there from the United States that they're not letting out. The journalists from the New York Times, for example, a year ago. Yeah. Think about the hostages right now, the Palestinian hostages, the Jewish hostages. I mean, does he even know what a hostage really is? People who don't do anything that get taken. Yeah. These people committed crimes. They're not hostages. They're criminals.
Yeah. And he didn't even call them that. They were protesters. They were
peaceful.
They were peacemakers and things of that nature.
Alternative facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely, he's caused a lot. He's caused a lot of issues, a lot of division. Right. He's actually turned, and even though it's always been there, but he's brought it on the forefront, which I agree.
But you gotta
there's some things that I agree with in that.
He's funny as can be.
No, he really is. He's entertaining.
He's funny, and people flock to him because he's a celebrity. He has name recognition. They don't know who he is.
And
that's why people flock.
I mean, but he gave the Proud Boys the stand up and stand back. The Proud Boys.
Yep.
I mean, if the white nationalist group, he basically said, stand back and stand by. That's messed up. He might as well put a sheet over his head and be in the KKK.
Don't you see him in the posters? You never see him. He always got the fist up. What is
No,
that?
I
The
do.
white power fist. Is
It's
that what
very
that is?
scary. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
if there's one thing he did was he brought that to the forefront because it was a lot of covert racism going on, and a lot of people
made
were
it-
in their dudges. He brought it to the front,
Mm.
front and center, so that if we thought that it's not happening anywhere, it still is, and we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just made it
that's
okay to
huge.
do it. That's what he did.
No, I'm not going to say okay.
That's
to
what
do
he
it.
did. He made it okay for these
I
guys
mean, he
to
said
come
there's
out of
very
the
good
woodwork.
people on both sides when they
very
went
good
and
people on
shot
both
up
sides.
the black
You
church
can
in
take
South
your car and
Carolina.
run over a girl, but there's very good
He did
people on
say
both
that.
sides.
I mean,
Yeah,
these are
you're
the
right.
things that people have to like. You know, we're on our phones, right? Our memories are short. 30 seconds is all the time span on an average you have to look at something, right?
Mhm.
People forget
Yeah.
the craziness when he was in office, the craziness, and he hates Obama. Everything Obama did, he tried to overturn.
Mm.
And then he couldn't even overturn. He had the House and the Senate and the presidency, and he still couldn't overturn I call it Obamacare because it was Obama and Joe Biden, but the Affordable Care Act.
Affordable Care Act.
And that helps millions and millions and millions of people in the United States. He wanted to overturn it so badly. It's like everything, and it's all because Obama picked on him in that press conference. Like
No,
it
what
was
he
a joke.
wanted-
He roasted him, and like Donald Trump just
took
felt
it
like
to
I'm
heart.
after him.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
took it to heart.
He wanted what Obama had. Obama has respect.
Mhm.
He has no respect. No one respects him.
right,
His family doesn't respect him.
right.
Even his constituents. don't
Where's his
respect
wife
him.
and daughter? They're like
Oh,
they're nowhere to be found.
He's like he's I would dare to call him a narcissist.
Oh, he is.
He just wants control over everything, and it doesn't matter who he has to run over, who he has to beat up to get it. You
Like,
know?
don't you guys feel too like the sense of decency? Like, yeah, Joe Biden is older and he might show his age a little bit, but he's a decent human being. Listen, Nikki Haley, I probably wouldn't agree with one thing that she wants, but when I watched her debate, I thought, God, at least she's a decent human being.
Mhm.
Like, I might not like her policies, but she explains herself. Even though I maybe don't agree with her, right? She's a decent human being.
Mhm.
That I mean, we lost it with him, and it's like the more ignorant you are, it's like the more you're like Trump. That's how I feel, and there's no decency, none.
Well, the party of Lincoln is gone. The Republican Party of Lincoln, that's gone. It's the party of Trump, and it's the Trump crime family. That's what it is. I tell you what I need to do. I need to take a vacation, and if I wanted to take a vacation, what would I do?
If you want to take a vacation, you would reach out to Dayanara Rosa with Luxevo Vacations. The website is LUX as in X-ray, EV as in Victor, O vacations.com. She is a wonderful travel specialist. She will get you the right rates and she may give you a few extra perks in there. Her telephone number is 757-667-8357 and it's Luxevo Vacations, LUXEVO vacations.com.
I love it.
So when you're ready to go on vacation, you know exactly who to call and where to go.
And I think people are going back to travel agents more.
Yeah.
Because, the whole, like, I'm going to book myself, I'm going to go to Priceline, I'm going to, do an Airbnb. There's nothing like the old days calling a travel agent and then making sure everything from the ride from the airport to wherever you're going. Like, so I am totally for travel agents, and I'm so happy that that company's advertising on this station.
Yes,
I really
me
am.
too.
Travel agents nobody does it like a travel agent.
How do you pronounce her name?
Her name is
Dianara
Rosa.
Rosa. So it's obvious that she's Hispanic or has Hispanic descent. Hopefully that opens the door. Maybe a couple more Hispanics will come on in. We love to have you on the show.
Yes.
Love to hear what you got to say.
It's
Is this the end of Women's Month, or we still
Women's
moving on?
History?
Yeah, that ended in March.
That ended in March.
That ended in March.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
But
shame.
no, it's Women's History Month for us every month.
Well, I tell you, if anybody should be put up for Women's History Month, she made history. She was the first woman to be mayor
Of
Stroudsburg.
Stroudsburg, and over 200-year history at the time.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We're no offense. But women,
I have no interest.
Oh, no, Ann,
no,
we're
no.
amazing.
I'm so proud.
The brother always doing this thing. I'm good to go.
I'm so proud too, because our Democratic House is 1/3 women and 1/3 people of color. Whether, I mean, we have Asian, Hispanic, Black. So it's a diverse group, and we organize and we get together and we vote for people. You know what I mean? And it's really, it's nice. There's not one on the House side, on the Republican side, there's not one person of color. Not one. There's some women though, a couple women.
Well, we need to come together more as a community. What is that? Unity in the community? What day is that, Terry?
August 17th.
August 17th. So we want everybody to come on down Danbury Park. We got live entertainment. Paint your face. Take your picture. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Hopefully, everybody come on down and let's be a community, a diverse community. Okay, all inclusive.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
is that Unity in the Community used to be at ESU? So I know it was at Dansbury Park because I saw you there last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely at Dansbury, not ESU.
No, it's gonna be at Danbury Park.
Okay.
You can always tune in to the TP Square show.
Okay.
And there's plenty of information. You can go to the GenesisRadio.com board, or if you want a little more information, you can go to www.paempowermentshow.com.
Okay.
Okay, and the information will also be posted there
Okay.
as well.
Awesome.
And that speaks to how big it's gotten, right? That it has to go to
It was
Dansbury
huge
Park,
last
right?
year. It was
Yeah.
huge. You know, I grew up in Dansbury Park. That was my stomping grounds. I'm telling you,
Really?
those 70s and the early to mid 80s, I was there probably every single day in the summertime.
Mm.
That
Yeah,
was
it's
what we
a
did.
great- I like Dansbury Park. I haven't been there. I only go in the summer, but I think it's an amazing place to go because it's so peaceful. I love going up on there's a little track up there,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. So I'll walk that in the summer. I live in East Stroudsburg,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard for me to get there, on a daily basis. But in the summer, I'm always there. And
Yeah.
it's just-
I
it's
lived
just a
in
wonderful
town
place
my
to
whole
go.
life. Like we moved a lot, but
Mm.
I always moved in East Stroudsburg Borough. So it didn't matter where we lived. I was a walk or a bicycle ride from the
That's
park. And I
awesome.
grew up at that park.
Yeah, I'm
I love
entitled.
the sidewalks.
I live in the
sidewalks.
country. You
You have to drive everywhere.
Me
No, I got a big 30-foot pool in my backyard. I'm
No,
entitled.
you're so nice. That's nice.
I need
But
to- I need to
again-
go to that pool at Dansbury Park. I haven't been yet.
Mhm.
Well, again, I mean, that's just my memories,
Yeah.
I think I had Atari in like 6th grade, and it was a friend gave it to us. Like it was already like 3 years old. Like
Oh, I
that's
know
probably
those.
the first time like
Yes.
Pac-Man and
Pac-Man.
Frogger and those things.
Mhm.
But otherwise, you were out. You weren't on a phone or anything. There wasn't,
Yeah.
they really didn't exist. So you would go down to the park and meet up with your friends. And then I have older brothers. So like there'd be summer league basketball. So you'd be at the pool all day running around, and then I come back at night and do the clock for the summer league night basketball games for the kids. Like it was
Mhm.
just, I don't know.
It's different.
It was awesome.
And it was awesome. Like you said, it was awesome, but it was definitely different. And I try to tell my children about that. I mean, we're in different generations here. I'm going to be 44.
Oh, you
And-
youngster.
We're in different generations.
But still, I feel like after my generation, that's when it all went to crap, right?
And you're
So I
beautiful.
like-
You don't
thank
even look, you don't look
Oh,
44.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
feel like
My
that.
daughter is her
Hey, now we're not going to
Yeah.
rag on me right now. We're not.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like it has changed. Now we had to go outside, and we never would worry about coming back home or not coming back home. And
Right.
it's a different time right now. And
Yeah.
I try to get my daughters outside, like go outside, do
Yeah.
something. So my daughters are now going hiking and things of that.
Oh,
nature.
good.
So I'm like, this is great. Get your friends to do so as well, because that oxygen is necessary for brain development.
Yeah, and I'm sure being at Penn State, you have to walk everywhere at
Oh,
Penn
yes.
State, and it's so huge. So,
Yes. And that's where she really got into hiking as well. Was
Yeah.
being in
Oh, Happy Valley.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Yes.
you're surrounded by the beautiful mountains,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She loves it. We're going
That's
there
great.
on
Well,
Saturday,
congratulations.
actually.
That's really
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies, this has been great.
Yes.
We're coming to the end of our show. I want to give a shout out to this brother. His name is Ronald Yates. He has a show here. It's called Reason for Reasons. I believe his show comes on Thursday, Terry, from 6 to 7.
Yep.
And this brother really, he speaks truth to power. We don't do too much controversial things on this show because we're really here to give out information. But if you want to listen to a brother that has something to say, Tune in on Thursday, 6 or 7. Ronald Yates, Reasons for Reasons. Now, ladies, thank you again for being here. My name is Kendall Stevenson, the host of the show. This is my co-host. Her name is Shaquana Terry and Tara Props. So I did say props.
You said
No, you
props.
I said props.
Yeah.
Well, you can give me props.
said
Well, I give you props.
In the beginning, you said it right. I guess I don't know
I
what
give you
happened.
plenty of props.
That's okay.
Hey, you know,
It's that generational thing. That's
No,
happening.
no.
Oh, you just forgot. That's just what
I've
happened.
known this woman.
You
No.
got him good. You got him back. You got him. You got him.
That's all right. But you know, I've known this woman's got to be going on 3, almost 4 years now.
No, my
Oh,
my
wow.
mom.
You and Joe Biden.
I'm with Joe Biden.
You and Joe
Oh.
Biden.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it'd be all over the paper now.
Right.
My mom like used to screw up everything. I mean, it would be like she like my brother went to Punta Cana. She's like, Johnny's in Punta Cunti. I'm like, Mom, it's Punta Cana. Like it was constantly. So her name was Lois. So we used to call it vocabulary instead of vocabulary.
Yes, absolutely. I
Because
get
she
it.
would all the time. So it's happening to me now.
Mm.
And my son is always correcting me. I was like, you know what I meant,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, oh God, it's like payback.
Mhm.
Because we would always be like,
I got an excuse.
Someone's gonna get me back for that.
The developmental
I know they
dyslexia. I was born with it. So
Oh,
I got an
really?
excuse. Oh, yeah, I got an excuse.
Okay.
Okay, that's my excuse.
that's
All
okay.
right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll take it.
All right.
All right,
You're
I'll
fine,
take
honey.
it.
I know you know who I am.
All right, ladies. Then we're going to call it a night.
Well, thank you.
Thanks
Thanks
a
for
lot.
having
Thank
me.
you so
Next
much for
week,
coming.
we have a young lady coming in. She's a life coach. Her name is Diane Butts. And I think that you guys are going to really enjoy her. She's got a lot to say and a lot to talk about. So thanks again. Peace.